Look at visual arts, they only look at it 20 seconds. And the first piece which I put on here is hardcore vibes, just as you come through the door. That took me 69 days, roughly at 5 hours, to create. So return on investment for 8 seconds seems a bit short. So this, hopefully, is an approach to get people to kind of stop and consider what the symbols are in the images themselves.
But yeah, I met Ollie through these workshops, and yeah, he told me about this tapestry we're doing, and when he said, hey, do you want to do some writing workshops around my art? I said, yeah, that'd be incredible, and it's been brilliant. We've had 37 contributors, so we had 5 different workshops, 4 in Worcester, 1 in Birmingham, and the response has been incredible. I think it gave people the opportunity to meet the artist and question him, and he's very generous with art, so we had this beautiful tapestry laid out on the table, and everyone was up close, touching them, asking questions, responding to them, responding to each other, and people were brilliant. So we've got most of the contributors are here, some of them didn't make it today, but I think about 20 of you here, and they were all so lovely because they supported one another. They talked about it wasn't just Ollie's art, it became a story about their own lives and things like this, so you've all been brilliant. It's been really interesting, so it's been wonderful experience for all of us, I think. So thank you all for coming today to support Ollie in his work, and yeah, please do buy copies of the book because that will feed the next leg of the project. So.
Hi everyone. Ollie got in touch with me on the recommendation of Holly, who knew the poetry community in Worcester, and it was just a real privilege to be asked to take part in this and to encourage my students, past and present, to come as well. And just seeing them take part has been really fulfilling. So I really thank you, Ollie. So this essay is titled How to Weave a Community Together Through Generosity. The SoftLads project has enabled art to form conversations within the community. Ekphrasis, meaning description in Greek, is a poetry technique in which the writer creates a vivid description of artwork so that the act of reflecting on the piece may expand the meaning. It is a vibrant tool that allows the writer to be absorbed by detail, to imagine the artist and the art. To think about the production of the piece and the impact of it on the viewer. By using the technique of ekphrasis, the writer creates a dialogue between the visual and the verbal mediums. This fascinating and timely project was based around Bliss producing complex, intricate embroidered tapestries, which interrogate ideas of masculinity and social media gaze. Bliss then expanded his project to reach out into the community, inviting writers of all stages in their creative journey to join him by providing free creative writing workshops with Holly Winter-Hughes of the Word Association, with the aim to generate writing exploring gender, identity and self-worth through the experience of viewing the ambitious Tapestry art series. Reflecting on the experience of taking part in the workshops, both as a poet myself and as a lecturer watching my students take part, the overwhelming aspect to take away from the time spent is one of generosity. From the artist giving his art to the public in such a generous manner, to the stimulating workshops being run so enthusiastically by skilled facilitators, and finally to the people taking part who wrote in such a generous and raw way, allowing all their honest thoughts and emotions to lay bare on the page. The project became like the threads in the tapestries, interwoven and vibrant. Bliss wanted to create these vibrant images to communicate with and challenge the stereotypical notion of masculinity in the viewer, but the dialogue he created became much more fluid. It expanded to explore a variety of life experiences, from young to old, crossing continents, all linked by the prompt of seeing Bliss's art. The tapestries were provocative, using male beauty as the centre, with an unapologetic sides, which made them impossible to ignore when hanging in the room. Posed, defiant, with flashes of skin and tattoos, surrounded by symbolic imagery that prompted so many different ideas to surface. The threads from a distance appear smooth like a painting, But up close, the huge amount of work is displayed with thousands of intertwined tiny threads in every direction, creating the images. The imagination at work here is incredible, as each tiny section is filled with colour, texture, images and stories. It is a work of memoir that expands into the memoirs of the people viewing it. This is evidenced by the huge variety of poetry produced, each one speaking to the artwork chosen, but filled with the writer's own history and feelings. Writers experimented with varied forms, voices, rhyme and rhythm. Responding to the atmosphere in the workshops, people felt safe to try new things and be inspired. The poems in this collection are full of striking images, and they respond to the visual prompts. So that each poem is as distinct as each tapestry. The men featured in the tapestries are present in the poems, but layered above is the writer from the workshop, absorbing the atmosphere, the place of safety in the room where they write. It is an inclusive, permissive environment, where any thought or image is safe to write about, leaping from a symbol or an image of tattoo into a personal story, political conversation, or a call for understanding of others, of otherness. The project became a manifesto for generosity, taking the question of what masculinity is in society and saying to the participants, now answer how you like. All avenues of conversations were encouraged and could be written about, because by talking about our fears, our histories, our desires, our hopes, we find common ground. In the workshops and reading that followed, the participants grew in confidence, sharing their work out loud, encouraging each other. It was a joy to be part of this process. This was a generous project which worked like the tapestries, interweaving a community which will outlive the workshops. Thank you. I actually write a lot of poems, but in the end, I just submitted this one. And it was based on the first tapestry that was called Hardcore Wives. But it's called Untitled. The others think you are frightening, but you are my people. Your body a space for your icons, the symbols that speak. Hurting yourself through tattoos is better than what is worse. They protect you. Voice your patterns, your dread at night. The light is always there, just hidden by the shroud of dark sky. I chose you because you are attracted to my eyes. Your gaze is a shield. The cold air eagle opens its beak to shriek so gently. Little monkey, lost in space, reaching for your cheekbones where I place my kiss. Don't leave me.
The first prompt from the very first day. Pick the tapestry that you're most drawn to. Place yourself in front of it and take some time to just sit with it. Focus on the colours, the symbols and the shapes that you see. Write down any words and phrases that come to mind. And then write a piece on it. And the first piece was Artist Activist. I sat in front of it, and this was the one that I really resonated with the most. I just thought that it was just wonderful. So I sat in front of all of the pieces and I wrote a piece on it. So this is from an Artist Activist. Nothing lasts forever. An anchor weighing down, or fresh as an orange. Family, kindness, true love, nothing lasts forever. A look of concern or freedom, off into the distance. The future is coming and it remains distant. The horizon will always be the horizon, unreachable. It's written all over your face, the trauma and the joy, past and future equally untouchable. A rumination on the words. Nothing lasts forever. Innumerable decisions led to this point. What will happen next? Nothing lasts forever. I thought that, so I came to the first workshop, I thought I could make the rest of the workshops. So I sat in front of the pieces and apart from hardcore vibes, which as everybody knows really scares me, so I didn't write anything about it. I sat in front of the pieces and I just wrote. So the next one is about which is this guy, very handsome. And when I wrote this piece, I was angry. I was angry about all the billionaires who are going into space and taking up all the carbon and doing horrendous things to our planet in the name of progress. And I put all of that anger onto this poor guy who I'd actually like to apologise to, because we didn't know anything about these people when Ollie first presented these artworks, and then he would, because that was the point, because we didn't know, we would bring our own perceptions, and then Ollie would read a bio, and then we'd know a bit more about them. And this guy's just like a chill scientist who like does hiking and stuff. So I wrote this poem in a while ago. A connection of science and religion, nature underpinning all, man. The world's in his hands. Please don't hold too tight. Dynasty and excess, tiger eyes glaring out. Animal skin papered over, hidden primal mergers. I am public, sanitized, every man. I am deep, intelligent, sexual. The sun and the moon, every planet, every atom, is within me and without me, pounding through my veins. Integral and external, I drape it over my body, but it's me. It is me. I am all of it and none of it. I am a man. And then the last piece I wrote was on Pilgrim. This one. And something that I'm really thankful for this this project is it's coincided with me in a time in my life where I'm completely re-examining what masculinity means to me, what it means to me personally, and what it means to me in responding to the world. And I went through a phase of being very angry at masculinity, and then through this and through other things, I've come to re-examine masculinity and just think it's just a way of being, masculinity. But I saw a lot of sadness in Pilgrim, which resonated with a lot of the sadness that was in me. So I wrote this short poem. Mournful blue, a sad face in an ocean of tears. Look at me, look at me. I am still here, despite. So it's really just resonates with me a lot of, you can go through the worst stuff that you can possibly go through, and you're still here, and you're still standing. So those are my poems, and I would like to say thank you again to Ollie and Holly for this amazing project. Thank you.
Okay, I've got this first one. This is also about Pilgrim, which is the same one that Al's last one was. It's called Minotaur. Like the Minotaur, a tortured soul, can a map guide me through the labyrinth of my life? Like a jellyfish, I transform myself, become who I've always been. I float away in one eternal dream. Okay, and then the second one is called Flower Prince, and this was inspired by Zochipilli. Okay. Creative and playful, he dances in the field. Flowers blossom in each footprint. He laughs as he plays with the world. And my final piece that I'll read today was based on artist activist. It's called A Fresh Start. New place, fresh start. Thoughts spin as I walk the streets, leaving my past behind, looking for some omen, some portent of a brighter future. I need kindness, I need friends. Am I ready for love? Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I am CL. Like many others, I would like to thank Ollie and Holly for putting this whole thing on. I haven't written poetry since I was about 12, and I sucked back then. So quite frankly, I thought that I sucked at poetry for all this time, and then I went, and I was like, oh, better than I thought I was. So it's been very nice to rediscover that art form through this whole process. My first poem is called Freedom and Fabric. Why must my masculinity be defined by dress? Flowing fabric expresses myself. Tight enclosures free my body. But I am trapped by perception. I know what people see. Smooth and bold, smooth and round, smooth and flat. Curve on curve. I could hide through restricted, boring, unpainted means. But am I still me? Obviously about my own relationship with masculinity and my own gender as someone who's born female but feels masculine occasionally. Obviously, I'm quite fond of dressing more flamboyantly, whereas often to appear male to somebody else, you have to dress down or not wear makeup or things like that. But at the same time, I don't want to. So it's that juxtaposition between these two sort of wants that I have. My second one is called Lead Clouds and Sunshine. The clouds are luminous, moving, swirling across the blue sky. I greet the dawn from the wrong side. My limbs are heavy and leaden. The sun warms me, it gives me life, energy. I breathe in gold and joy. I greeted the dawn from the wrong side. My limbs are still leaden, but I move, swirl. I prance gold across the blue sky.
This ship full of women is trying to find the SoftLads island, you know. What are SoftLads? They've been worried about what's going to happen. They have adventures on the way, they stop off at another island and they have more adventures. And this is the bit where they find the SoftLads island. Okay. You're there somewhere. This is the article number 8 we found in this sea chest. And it's from the captain's journal, and there's blood on the cover. Having navigated through the deepest depths, fighting against the most powerful of instincts, whirlpools of bewilderment, and fathomless speculations, we finally arrived at SoftLads Island. It was 200 miles wide and shaped like a giant crab's claw. The vegetation was lush and colourful. We were met on the beach by 20 or so fascinating males. All seemed to be under the age of 35. One, it turned out, was an artist activist, whatever that is. Another, a pilgrim. Yet another looked like an Aztec god. One looked very hardcore and was rather frightening until he opened his mouth at it and sang some songs of welcome to us, to which the others quickly joined in. We do the okey cokey, but we don't turn around. That was one of their favourite songs. I love this song. They lived in long wooden huts, 20 at a time. There were roughly 500 lads on the island. Their displays of masculinity were mainly on the surface: tattoos, piercings, scarification, hairstyles, artwork, the clothes they wore, often torn. These seemed to be in stark contrast to their gentle nature. It was as if the only or the best way they felt they could adequately display their masculinity, their boyness, their manhood, their malehoodness, their maleness, their ladness, or their gender. And this is article number 9. And this is a collection of observations written on scraps of paper and one piece of sailcloth. We don't know who wrote these articles, it could be the ship's crew again. And so this is the ship's crew analysing and assessing all these lads in all these huts. So you've got 500 lads in all these different huts, and all these lads have got different ideas about how to run the world and all sorts of ideas. So the first person has written on a piece of paper, all the lads in hut number 10 are xenocentric. They seem to love other cultures more than their own. Somebody else has written now, all the boys in Community Block 19 are excessively woke. They are sanctimonious, dogmatic, authoritarian, self-righteous, zealous, humorless and boring. They have to turn every subject into a political argument or discussion. It would seem that they simply do not have any valid identity outside of a social justice framework. They have all the right flags, all the right badges, the lanyards, the t-shirts, and they know all the long words. Many of the other lads just try to ignore them or grudgingly imitate them. This is somebody else writing. Titania, from the ship's crew, has succumbed to their teachings and to become the spokesperson for lads in hut number 19. This is somebody else writing. All the lads in hut 6 are great fun and sexy. Somebody else. The lads in hut 3 are post-woke. Nobody knows how they did it. This is somebody else writing. The lads in hut 12 are annoyed because they're not allowed to stay married. drink alcohol, go to adult nightclubs, vote, or join the Navy. If you insist on believing you're only 15 years old, when in reality you're at least 25, then you must expect to be treated like 15-year-olds, said a spokesperson for the group in hut number 31. This has caused some consternation within the whole SoftLads community. Where does identity politics start or end? And what about biology? Is society going to be run along traditional biological lines, or have values like feelings and beliefs trump the old order?
Hello everyone, my name is Lauren and I'm a student at the university here. The first poem that I'm going to read, it was inspired by one of the exercises that we did where we had to look at a mirror at ourselves, and in keeping with the theme of SoftLads, write a poem. So it's called The Gardener. Green eyes like Granny Smith apples, sun spotted with brown dented freckles, brows like unkept weeds. They grow in their own direction. Take advantage of the gardener that's sleeping, slacking on daily chores. The watering can has run, well, empty. Because beautifying a front-facing garden is hard work. Skin like sidewalks crack, bleed out what's hidden underneath, and grass like hair turns to lighter shades under stress and the passing of time. But there's beauty in faces like lawns that don't show up with the neighbors, that present themselves for who they are, rooting for themselves, going below a hard surface. Worthy, whether unkept or maintained, still a garden of life, of love, worth tending to. So grow, weeds, grow. So that one was looking at my appearance and I guess using a garden in terms of looking at your face and looking at pretty much as a garden. The neighbors are always looking at the front garden, but you don't see what's underneath. So like keeping with the seasons, you know, even if flowers aren't bloomed or you don't look, you know, presentable, or you see your flaws, you're still a worth and value to yourself. The next poem is a little bit more, I guess, hard for the SoftLad theme. It's called Daddy Didn't. Daddy didn't like tattoos, and I knew it would piss him off if I took this gun right here, man, like this one in my hand, and I dotted a heart below my eye like little girls write innocent eyes so he could see how much he loved me. And you see, Daddy didn't like tattoos, so you should have seen his face when I told him I did it, only because I loved you. So I don't have any tattoos myself, but when looking at this Hardcore Vibes picture, I thought about the relationship between this person and other people in their family, and for some reason I thought he had daddy issues. So daddy, I wanted that term, it could be daddy as in father, daddy as in a boyfriend, but doing tattooing yourself out of defiance, and yeah, that's it, yeah.
Welcome back to the Dawn Show. Over a period of roughly 4 months, we met nearly all the lads. Most were affable, bright-eyed, optimistic, kind, and attended to our every need, including filling 66 empty gin bottles with fresh sperm. They're good shots. That's another part of the story. So if you don't know, they have a great capacity to love. They are all, however, tormented and enchanted by a strange ethereal goddess that swirls around the island, Media.
Thank you, Ollie. I have 2 poems for you. The first is Pilgrim Voyager. It's a poem based upon the Pilgrim Tapestry by Ollie. It's been the privilege to spend time talking about, reflecting and studying Ollie's work in detail. The longer you look, the more you see. And I love the detailed symbolism and the stories behind each of the amazing figures that Ollie has created. So, Pilgrim Voyager. Look me in the eyes and tell me that you know me. What do you think? What do you see? My body art is the start of a story to be told, of adventure, pirates and treasure. But what of my identity, my individuality, personality, sexuality and my destiny? Whilst not your affair, it's anchors away. I'm learning to love and to care. Yes, I've sailed the seven seas, plundered and hurt, as the wounds on my body endorse. But my ship is on course, so forgive me, please. My faith is intact, my mission near complete. As I spy a safe port, a new land, a new haven, so with chest proud and shaven, I'm no longer alone, nor a lost soul at sea. I found my moral compass, and overboard thrown my cutlass. So tell me now, what do you see? Do you know me any better? No man is an island, and it is into your welcoming arms that I am destined. So the second poem I've called Adonis. Again, looking closely at the tapestries, the tattoos, the images, the symbols, it's a wonderful opportunity to immerse yourself in the allegory, an opportunity, a privilege to get lost in the stories that Ollie tells in his words and those stunning figures. So Adonis is based on the tapestry City, Adonis. Look down on me and pose, you handsome young man. Your dreamy eyes float in hallucinogenic space travel with the world in your hand, whilst your faithful, admiring and envious followers feed the attention that you seek. No longer a boy, you're the big cat, king of the jungle. You purr in ritual fantasy, ecstasy and fertility, and you worship Dionysus. Your wisdom and knowledge travel with you from planet to planet on your journey of ethereal joy. You are one star that I'd like to meet, as your many lovers anoint and kiss your feet, whilst bluebirds flee captivity. Your tattoos tell a story of mythology and chemistry, a DNA thread where some fear to tread. Yes, look over your shoulder, the wise owl calls time, as it does on us all. And your beauty of that grace, as does your fame, your attractive curls recede along with your followers, and your colourful world turns grey. You worry, what will people say? Your 15 minutes are over. Young man, you've had your day.
Just to kind of explain the very start of this poem, I basically get lost everywhere I go, including today I went to the wrong place. And when I was initially going to the workshops, there were 2 security guards stationed just outside the very posh Halton Works building. And I was like, hey, where's SoftLads? I can't find it. And they were proper stereotypical security guards. They had all in black and shaven heads. And they both kind of went, only hard lads here. And I was like, oh God, it started. And that just stayed in my brain, and it inspired me to write this poem on masculinity once I actually found where I was meant to go. So I hope you enjoyed it. Excuse me, where is SoftLads? The men laughed. No SoftLads here, only hard lads. Hard lads. The Phil Mitchells and the Ross Kemps. Hard-hearted, mean-fisted hands. Sovereign ringed, calloused fingers made rough from hard labours where men sweat drips down their faces. In labour, women don't sweat. They glisten, a light sheen on soft cheeks. Umbilical cord as strong as the rope that fishermen clutch in the roughest of storms. Pull, 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 come on, lads. Push, 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 I can almost see the head. The fish slips, Out of the net, slimy, pliable, fragile bones, gasping for breath. The pink interior exposed, soft flesh turned white till it flakes away and dissolves on your tongue like sea foam. Bone stuck in your throat, be a man. Swallow the cough, hold back the tears. You already cut off this fishwife's head. Her soft bone is now the only part that fights back against the hard rushing tongue of your throat. Her lidless eye stares back from your plate as the world goes black.
This is an outline of a short story found hidden in an old wooden musical box. And the author was Mallory. We can't tell if Mallory was one of the ship's crew or whether Mallory was one of the SoftLads. Mallory is a very androgynous name. The story is called Scenario, and it's the story of two star-crossed lovers fated to play a game called Scenario forever. They are each condemned to take up every conceivable different position on a gendered chessboard. When one is gay, the other is straight, etc. Because they are constantly changing their strategy, they never meet, they never check their mate. This is Article 14. This is from the Captain's Journal. A day of tears. Left the island today after 3 months' stay. 300 lads came to wave us off. Lovers in the air. Even dolphins whistled, clicked and flipped in the sunlit harbour as if to wish us good speed. The lads and the lasses exchanged their tokens of affection. Knickers, KY jelly, flowers, knitting needles, a small tapestry.